The first box of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine left a Kentucky warehouse with a standing ovation this morning. Nearly 38,000 of those doses will arrive in Louisiana this week. Good evening. I'm Sharice Gibson.
And I'm Karen Swenson. But not everyone is applauding the third approved COVID vaccine.
The Archdiocese of New Orleans is urging Catholics not to get the Johnson & Johnson one because of its abortion-derived cell line. Erica Ferrando explains.
Johnson & Johnson is the third company to release a COVID-19 vaccine, and thousands of doses are heading to Louisiana this week. But the Archdiocese of New Orleans is advising Catholics to avoid getting the new Johnson & Johnson vaccine because of its connection to abortion. A statement posted to the Archdiocese website says the Archdiocese must instruct Catholics that the latest vaccine from Johnson & Johnson is morally compromised as it uses the abortion-derived cell line in development and production of the vaccine, as well as testing. For years, many vaccines have been developed using cells grown in a lab, and some of those cell lines were originally derived from aborted fetuses from 50 or 60 years ago. There are quite a few online articles about the topic, including a statement from the North Dakota Department of Health that says Johnson & Johnson used fetal cell cultures to produce the vaccine. That does not mean they're in the actual doses, as it's not included in the ingredients list released by the FDA. Pfizer and Moderna did not use this technology. For that reason, the Archdiocese advises Catholics to choose either of those. Health officials have encouraged people to get whatever vaccine is first available to them. Dr. Joe Kanner spoke last week before the Archdiocese issued its statement.
The first chance somebody has to get vaccinated, take that chance. Do not pass up that opportunity.
Ochsner doctors asked about this Monday afternoon were surprised by the concern from the Archdiocese.
Several months in, we thought we've heard most every sort of concern that has been raised. And so this was new and really was a surprise. So we're going to spend some time trying to understand it.
The Vatican released a statement in December saying when ethically irreproachable COVID-19 vaccines are not available, it is morally acceptable to receive the vaccines that have used cell lines from aborted fetuses in their research and production process. Erica Ferrando, Eyewitness News.
Francis was among the first groups in the world to be vaccinated, and it is believed he received the Pfizer vaccine because that's who the Vatican partnered with. He and ex-Pope Benedict were vaccinated on January 14th, about 3 weeks after the Pfizer vaccine was approved in Italy. Both Francis and Benedict are considered high risk because of their age, and Pope Francis also had one of his lungs removed following an illness as a young man.